A werewolf romance written by Georgina Anderson. Prologue. The last song. They came on the blood moon when the tide runs red and wolves forget mercy. I remember the singing. That's what haunts me most. Not the screams that came after, though there were plenty of those. Not the smell of burning fur and spilled pack bonds. Not even my mother's last words as she shoved me toward the forest and told me to run. Just the singing. Moonsong Vale had gathered for the lunar blessing, an ancient rite where the pack sang together under the full moon, our voices weaving into harmony that pleased the moon goddess and strengthened our bonds. We were peaceful wolves. Blessed wolves. Our territory produced healers and diplomats, not warriors. We believed our songs protected us. We were wrong. I was 12 years old, and my wolf had only recently emerged. She was small, silver-white, with eyes like moonlight on water. My howl was different from other wolves, clearer, purer, with a resonance that made angry wolves pause and wounded ones calm. Moon-touched, the elders called me, blessed with the goddess's own voice. They said I would grow up to be a great healer, a pack treasure, someone who could sing disputes into peace and soothe the dying into gentle passage. They didn't tell me that treasures get stolen. The Bloodfang clan attacked during our song. They waited until we were all shifted, all vulnerable in our wolf forms, with our throats exposed to the moon in ritual trust. Professional, calculated, designed not to kill everyone, just enough to break resistance. They wanted slaves, not corpses. I watched my alpha fall first, silver blade through the heart, pack bond severing so violently that every wolf in the vale felt it snap, felt the absence where his presence had been, felt our unity shatter into individual terror. Then came the chains, silver chains that burned and suppressed shifting, silver collars that locked around throats and made us human, naked, helpless. My mother fought, killed 3 raiders before they brought her down. With her last breath, she looked at me, still hiding in the tree line where she'd shoved me, and mouthed one word: live. Then they cut her throat. I should have run, should have used the head start she'd bought me, should have disappeared into the forest and survived as a lone wolf. Instead, I howled. Not a war cry, not a call for help. Just grief, pure, devastating 12-year-old grief that my wolf couldn't contain. The sound froze the raiders mid-motion, made them turn, made them see me. A Bloodfang captain smiled. There's the moon singer. Told you we'd find her. They'd come for me specifically, for my voice, for the gift the elders had called a blessing. The collar went around my neck, and my wolf went silent. That was 23 years ago. I haven't sung since. Part 1, The Stolen. Chapter 1, The Voiceless Omega. The collar never came off. Oh, they removed the silver eventually. Once they'd broken me thoroughly enough that I wouldn't run. Once they'd trained me to submit, to obey, to exist as property rather than person. But the real collar stayed. Invisible. Psychological. The understanding that my voice was not my own. That speaking without permission meant punishment. That my wolf was a tool they controlled, not a part of me. I learned quickly. Had to. The alternative was death, and I'd promised my mother I'd live. The Bloodfang clan sold me north within a month. To the Ironwood Pack, a massive territory that controlled 3 mountain passes and made their fortune on tariffs and trade. They needed translators. Wolves who could speak multiple pack dialects, who could facilitate negotiations between rivals who'd kill each other given half a chance. Omegas made perfect translators. Weak enough not to threaten anyone, useful enough to keep alive, forbidden from shifting, from pack bonds, from any power that might let us be something other than tools. I was 13 when I learned my first foreign dialect, 17 when I'd mastered 8, 20 when I'd stopped counting. They called me Sarah. Not my birth name, that had died with Moonsong Veil. Just Sarah. Simple, forgettable. The Omega who spoke for others but never for herself. I translated treaties, brokered alliances, stood between alpha egos, and prevented wars through careful word choice and strategic omission. I was good at it. Had to be. Usefulness was survival. But I never spoke my own words, never advocated for myself, never protested when they loaned me to other packs like I was a book to be borrowed and returned. My wolf grew quiet. So quiet I sometimes forgot she existed. Just a distant presence curled up in the back of my consciousness, waiting for something I couldn't name. 23 years of waiting. Chapter 2. The Northern Territories. The Ironwood pack was brutal in the casual way powerful wolves often are. They didn't torture for fun. That would be wasteful. They didn't kill unnecessarily. Bodies were bad for trade relations. They just used people, efficiently, without guilt or consideration. Omegas were property, tools, less valuable than good horses but more useful than most furniture. I lived in the translation house, a compound where the Ironwood pack kept their diplomatic assets. 12 of us, all Omegas, all fluent in multiple dialects, all forbidden from shifting, from bonding, from existing as anything but interpreters. We weren't mistreated exactly. We were fed, housed, given medical care when injured, protected from physical abuse because damaged translators were less effective. But we weren't people either. I was 28 years old, and I couldn't remember the last time someone had asked my opinion, my preference. My name before it became Sarah. I couldn't remember my mother's face clearly anymore. Couldn't recall the exact melody of Moonsong Veil's Lunar Blessing. Couldn't access the part of me that had howled grief so purely that raiders froze. That girl had died. I was just the useful thing that remained. Chapter 3. The Fire. Luna. Everything changed the night Ashara Stormbreaker burned Ironwood's capital to ash. She came from the western wastes, a territory everyone dismissed as barbaric, lawless, beneath notice. She'd built a pack from rogues and outcasts and wolves who'd been cast out for being too violent, too unstable, too much. And she'd forged them into something terrifying. The Fire Luna, they called her. Not because she used fire, wolves didn't have that magic, but because she burned through territories like wildfire. Unstoppable, consuming, leaving only transformation in her wake. She hit Ironwood at midnight. 300 warriors against 1,000 defenders. Should have been suicide. Wasn't. I was in the translation house when the attack began. Heard the howls. Felt the pack bonds of Ironwood wolves severing as their alpha fell. Felt the specific terror of knowing your world was ending and being powerless to stop it. The other translators panicked. Tried to run. Tried to hide. I just sat. Waited. Because running without permission was punishable, and permission would never come, and I'd learned to wait for orders before acting. 23 years of conditioning is hard to break. The door exploded inward. Not opened, exploded. A massive female wolf in her alpha form stood in the doorway. Rust-red fur, golden eyes, scars covering her like she'd survived being flayed alive and decided to keep the evidence. She shifted to human. Tall, broad-shouldered, covered in blood that clearly wasn't hers. "Translators," she said. Not a question. Statement of fact. Her voice was rough, accented with Western cant. "You're Ironwood's diplomatic slaves." We said nothing, too terrified to speak. She looked at each of us. Her gaze was strange, not cruel, but not kind either. Just assessing, like she was trying to solve a problem and we were variables. "I'm Ashara Stormbreaker, Fire Luna of the Scorched Veil pack. As of tonight, Ironwood belongs to me. You have 3 choices." She held up fingers. 1. Leave. Walk out that door. I won't stop you. No pack bond required. No service demanded. Freedom. No one moved. 2. Stay as translators. Same work, same skills, but you'll be paid, housed properly and permitted to shift. You'll be wolves, not property. Still no movement. 3. Join my pack properly. Full membership, pack bonds, all the protection and responsibility that entails. She smiled slightly. I don't recommend this option. My pack is violent, dangerous, and doesn't do well with wolves who've been taught submission. But it's offered. She waited. One of the younger Omegas, a boy named Tam, who'd only been here 2 years, spoke up. What's the catch? No catch. I don't keep slaves. Don't believe in it. You're wolves, not tools. Wolves deserve choice. Ashara's smile faded. But understand, if you choose freedom and later attack my territory, I'll kill you. If you choose service and betray me, I'll kill you. If you choose pack and break bond, I'll kill you. I'm offering choice, not weakness. Clear? Crystal clear. The others chose service or freedom. Smart choices. Safe choices. I chose pack. Don't know why. Maybe because I hadn't made a real choice in 23 years. Maybe because her eyes had looked at me like I was a person instead of property. Maybe because my quiet wolf suddenly wasn't so quiet anymore. Ashara studied me. You sure? You look like you've been beaten down pretty thoroughly. My pack will eat you alive if you can't hold your own. I'm sure, I said. My voice was rusty from disuse. I translated for others, but rarely spoke for myself. I choose pack. Name? I almost said Sarah. Almost gave her the slave name. Caught myself. Leanna, I said. The name felt strange on my tongue. My name is Leanna. It wasn't my birth name either. That was too painful, too connected to Moonsong Vale and dead mothers and stolen childhood. But it was my choice. My name, chosen freely, for the first time in 23 years. Ashara nodded. Welcome to Scorched Veil, Leanna. Try not to die in the first week. Chapter 4, Learning Fire. Scorched Veil was chaos. Not the violent, destructive kind, though there was plenty of that. The organizational kind. The kind where 300 wolves from different packs, different territories, different species of trauma tried to function as a unit. It shouldn't have worked. By all logic, it should have imploded within months. It didn't. Because of Ashara. She was brilliant in the way predators are brilliant, not through book learning or philosophy, but through pure instinct for survival and dominance. She'd built her pack on one principle: usefulness over origin. Didn't matter if you were Omega or Alpha-born. Didn't matter if you were rogue or exile or criminal. If you were useful, if you contributed, if you pulled your weight, you belonged. And if you didn't, you left or died. Ashara wasn't sentimental about dead weight. I was assigned to her personal staff within a week. Not as translator, though I did that too, but as something else. Advisor, maybe. Observer. The person who watched pack dynamics and told Ashara when tensions were building, when alliances were forming, when problems needed addressing. You notice things, she said during our first private meeting. We were in her command tent. She refused proper housing, said it made her soft. You see patterns, that's rare. I spent 23 years watching wolves negotiate. You learn to read subtext. You learn to survive. She studied me. Why pack bond? Why not just take your freedom and run? I'd asked myself that question 100 times. Because freedom without purpose is just a different kind of cage. At least here, I'm useful. That's slave thinking. That's survivor thinking, I corrected. And they're not the same thing. She laughed. Actually laughed. Fair. You'll do well here, Leanna, assuming the pack doesn't kill you. Will they? Probably not. You're useful. She paused. And you're quiet. My wolves respect quiet strength more than loud weakness. I'm not strong. You survived 23 years as property without losing yourself completely. That's stronger than most warriors I know. She stood. Come on, time to meet your new family. They'll test you. Don't back down. Don't submit. And whatever you do, don't show fear. I'm terrified. Good. Terror keeps you alert. Just don't show it. Chapter 5. The commander I met Kieran during a pack challenge. Ashara's second-in-command was being contested by a massive warrior named Dren, 7 feet tall in human form, built like a mountain, with a reputation for killing challengers in under 30 seconds. The fight took 90 seconds. Not because Dren was skilled, because Kieran was precise. He was smaller than most warriors, maybe 6 feet, lean, scarred heavily on his left side, like something had tried to flay him and given up halfway through. He moved like water, fluid, adaptive, utterly without wasted motion. He didn't try to overpower Dren, just waited, observed, then struck at exactly the right moment, with exactly the right amount of force. Dren's throat was torn out before he realized he was dying. The pack howled approval. Ashara grinned. Kieran just shifted back to human, covered in blood, and walked away like he'd finished a boring chore. I made the mistake of being in his path. He stopped, looked at me. His eyes were gray, unusual for wolves, which typically run gold or amber. Flat, emotionless. You're the new advisor, he said. Not a question. Yes. You look fragile. I'm not. Prove it. He moved. Not attacking, testing. A casual swipe that any trained wolf would dodge easily. I didn't dodge. Couldn't. 23 years without being permitted to defend myself meant my reflexes were gone. His claws stopped an inch from my throat. That's what I thought. He stepped back. Don't walk behind me in battle. I don't slow down for wolves who can't protect themselves. He left. Ashara appeared beside me. Don't mind Kieran. He's difficult. He's an asshole? That too, but he's my asshole, and he keeps this pack alive through tactical brilliance and extreme violence. Try not to piss him off. He doesn't like me. He doesn't like anyone. You're not special. She paused. But you will be. Give it time. Chapter 6. The Education of an Advisor. 6 months in Scorched Veil taught me more about power than 23 years in slavery. I learned that dominance isn't just physical, that the strongest wolf doesn't always lead, that fear and respect aren't the same thing, and only one of them keeps packs stable long term. I learned pack law, not the sanitized version diplomats used, but the real laws. The ancient agreements that governed wolf society, the loopholes and exceptions, the places where custom trumped decree, and decree trumped tradition. I learned strategy, how to read pack movements like a chess game, how to predict alliances before they formed, how to identify weak points in enemy territories. I learned from Ashara, but I also learned from watching her. She was brutal, but not cruel, violent, but not sadistic. She killed when necessary, and showed mercy when possible. She understood something most alphas didn't, that ruling through pure fear created instability, but ruling through pure kindness created weakness. Balance. That's what she taught me. The knife edge between too much and too little. And slowly, so slowly I barely noticed, I began to change. My voice grew stronger, not louder, but more confident. I stopped waiting for permission to speak and started offering opinions unasked. I stopped flinching when wolves moved suddenly, stopped expecting punishment for existing. I began to remember what it felt like to be a person instead of property. My wolf began to stir. Chapter 7. The Silent Wolf Speaks. You haven't shifted since you joined. Kieran's voice startled me. I was in the archives, Scorched Veil's collection of stolen pack histories and treaties, researching border disputes for Ashara. 10 months since I'd joined. 10 months of proving myself useful, of earning trust, of slowly becoming something other than the broken Omega who'd chosen pack bond. 10 months of avoiding the one thing Ashara's offer had promised: permission to shift. "I don't need to shift to do my work," I said. "That's not an answer." He sat across from me, still uncomfortable around him. He was too precise, too controlled, too much like a blade waiting to cut. "Ashara gave you permission. You haven't used it. Why?" "It's complicated." "I'm not busy." I closed the book I'd been reading. "I haven't shifted in 23 years, since I was 12, since the night my pack was destroyed and I was collared." Understanding flickered in those gray eyes. "You're afraid you've forgotten how." "I'm afraid my wolf died, that there's nothing left to shift into." I met his gaze. "And I'm afraid of what it means if she's still there, still waiting, still hoping I'll let her out after abandoning her for 2 decades. Silence. Then, "My pack was killed when I was 15. Rogues. They didn't take slaves, just murdered everyone for territory. I survived by hiding in a corpse pile for 3 days until they left." I stared. Kieran never spoke about his past, never revealed anything personal. When I finally shifted back to human, I couldn't speak for a year. Just couldn't. The words wouldn't come. Like my wolf had taken my voice with her when she retreated. He looked at his hands. I thought I'd lost her permanently. Thought the trauma had killed whatever made me a wolf. What changed? Ashara found me, forced me to shift, wouldn't let me hide anymore. He smiled slightly, the first expression I'd ever seen on his face besides blank professionalism. "She's irritating that way." Did it help? Eventually. My wolf was still there, just scared. Trauma doesn't kill who we are, it just makes us afraid to be ourselves. But fear isn't the same as death. He stood. "There's a full moon in 3 days. Pack run. Everyone shifts. You should come." I'm not asking. I'm telling you." His voice softened slightly. "Your wolf isn't dead, Leanna. She's just waiting for you to be brave enough to come back." He left. I sat in the archives, surrounded by dead pack histories and treaties written by wolves long turned to dust, and wondered if he was right. Wondered if my wolf was still there. Wondered if I was brave enough to find out. Part 2. The Awakening Chapter. 8. The full moon rising. The full moon rose over Scorched Veil like a judgment. I stood at the edge of the gathering ground, a massive clearing where the pack assembled for runs, challenges, and rituals. 300 wolves in various states of shifting, some already in wolf form, pacing eagerly. Others still human, stripping down, preparing. The energy was electric, primal. The kind of pack unity I hadn't felt since Moonsong Vale, since the night it all ended. My hands shook. Not from cold, the summer night was warm. From fear. Pure, overwhelming fear that my wolf wouldn't answer. That I'd try to shift, and nothing would happen. That 23 years of suppression had killed her permanently. "You came." Ashara materialized beside me, already shifted halfway. That in-between state alphas could hold where you're mostly human, but with claws, fangs, enhanced senses. "Wasn't sure you would." Kieran said it wasn't optional. "Kieran says a lot of things. Doesn't mean you have to listen." She studied me. "But you should. Your wolf needs this. Needs to remember what she is. What if she's gone? Then we'll deal with that. But I don't think she is." Ashara's eyes caught moonlight, glowing amber. "I've watched you for 10 months, Leanna. Watched you grow stronger, more confident, more present. That's not someone whose wolf is dead. That's someone whose wolf is waking up." "I'm terrified." "Good. Terror means you're alive." She shifted fully, a massive rust-red wolf with golden eyes, and enough scars to tell 1,000 violent stories. Her voice came through pack bond now, that telepathic connection all pack wolves shared. Stop thinking. Start feeling. Let her out. Around me, the pack was shifting. Wolves of every size and color, creating a chorus of transformation sounds, bones cracking, muscles reshaping, Humans becoming beasts. I closed my eyes, reached inward to the place where my wolf waited. Found nothing. Panic spiked. She was gone. 23 years had killed her. I was broken, incomplete, a wolf who couldn't... There. So faint I almost missed it. A presence. Small. Scared. Curled up tight in the darkest corner of my consciousness. Waiting. "I'm sorry," I told her. "I'm so sorry I left you alone for so long. I'm sorry I was too broken to let you out. I'm sorry." She moved. Not toward me. Just shifted. Uncurled slightly. "Please," I begged. "Please come back. I need you. I need to remember what we were before they broke us." Another movement. Closer now. "I know you're scared. I'm scared too. But we can't hide forever. We can't keep being nothing because we're afraid of being something." She touched my consciousness, and I felt her. My wolf. Still there. Still alive. Still mine. The shift took me without warning. Chapter 9. Silver Moon. Pain exploded through every nerve. Not the smooth transformation of wolves who shifted regularly. This was rusty machinery grinding back to life. Bones that hadn't changed shape in 23 years, fighting to remember how. Muscles that had forgotten the process, struggling to complete it. I screamed. Or tried to. The sound came out broken, half human, half animal. The pack went quiet. I felt them watching. Felt their attention like weight pressing down. Felt the judgment forming. Weak, broken, damaged goods. Then Kieran's voice through pack bond. "Don't stop. Push through. Your wolf knows what to do, even if you've forgotten." The pain peaked. My vision whited out. My body felt like it was tearing itself apart and rebuilding simultaneously. Then, release. I stood on 4 legs for the first time in 23 years. The world exploded into sensory overload. Smells sharp enough to taste. Sounds layered like a symphony. Visions strange and wonderful. Less color, but more movement, more depth, more detail. I looked down at my paws. Silver white fur. Exactly like I remembered. Exactly like my mother's had been. Exactly like Moon's mercy, Ashara's voice breathed through pack bond. "Leanna, look at yourself." I caught my reflection in a nearby water trough. My wolf was small. Smaller than most. But she glowed. Actually glowed. Silver white fur that seemed to capture moonlight and reflect it back brighter. Eyes that shone pale blue instead of the normal gold or amber. I looked like moonlight given form. "Moon-blessed," an older wolf breathed. "I haven't seen a moon-blessed wolf in 60 years. "What does that mean?" I asked through pack bond. My mental voice was stronger than my physical one had ever been. "It means you're sacred," Ashara said. "It means you're touched by the goddess herself. It means..." A howl interrupted her. Not from our pack. From the forest beyond. Enemy wolves. Chapter 10. The first howl. "Positions!" Ashara's command snapped through pack bond. "We've got company, 50 strong, moving fast from the eastern border. Full defensive formation." The enemy pack burst into the clearing before she finished. Not Ironwood remnants. Someone new. Someone organized enough to hit us during a full moon gathering when we were most vulnerable. Warriors shifted into combat formations. Kieran's tactical commands overlaid Ashara's broader strategy. The pack moved like a weapon. Precise, coordinated, deadly. I stood frozen. No combat training. No fighting experience. 23 years as a translator meant I'd watched wars, but never participated. An enemy wolf broke through the defensive line. Massive, brown, black fur. Eyes fixed on me like I was prey. He lunged. I did the only thing I could think of. I howled. Not a war cry. Not a call for help. Just sound, pure, instinctive, driven by terror and desperation and the wolf instinct to make noise when threatened. The howl that emerged was nothing like the battle sounds around me. It was clear. pure, so resonant it seemed to vibrate the air itself. The same sound that had frozen raiders 23 years ago. The sound Moonsong Vale's elders had called blessed. Everything stopped. Not figuratively, literally. Every wolf in the clearing, pack and enemy alike, froze mid-motion. The brown-black wolf lunging at me stumbled, his attack losing coordination. Around the clearing, wolves shook their heads like trying to clear sudden fog. The rage drained from their eyes. What the hell was that? Kieran's voice cut through my shock. I don't know, I stammered. I was scared. Do it again, Ashara commanded. Now. Before they remember why they're angry. I howled again. Longer this time. Let the sound build and resonate and fill the clearing like physical presence. The enemy pack softened. That's the only word for it. Their aggressive postures melted. Their battle fury faded. They looked around confused, like waking from a dream and not remembering why they'd been fighting. Their alpha, a scarred female with gray-streaked fur, approached slowly. Not aggressive, just calm. What magic is this? She asked through general pack bond, the frequency all wolves could access. No magic, Ashara responded, moving to stand beside me. Just an old gift, moon blessing. The ability to calm rage and soothe bloodlust. I've heard stories. Never believed them. The enemy Alpha studied me. We came to raid, to take territory while Scorched Veil was vulnerable. Now I can't remember why that seemed important. Because you're an ambitious idiot, Ashara said bluntly, but you're welcome to leave peacefully if you're smart enough to recognize when you're outmatched. The enemy Alpha hesitated. Then, we'll leave. But Stormbreaker, this isn't over. Others will hear about the Moonsinger. They'll come for her. What you have is too valuable to keep. Let them come. They'll learn the same lesson you just did. The enemy pack withdrew. Slowly, peacefully. Still dazed from whatever my howl had done to them. When they were gone, the clearing erupted into excited pack chatter. Wolves crowding close, asking questions, wanting to understand what they'd just witnessed. I shifted back to human, exhausted, overwhelmed. My first shift in 23 years had ended with discovering I was apparently a magical wolf who could pacify armies. Kieran appeared beside me, tossing me clothes. Well, that was interesting. I don't understand what happened. You calmed them, took away their bloodlust, made fighting seem irrelevant. He studied me with those gray eyes. That's an incredibly dangerous gift, Leanna. Dangerous? Dangerous to possess. Every alpha in the region is going to want you once word spreads. You're a weapon that makes other weapons useless. That's more valuable than any territory or treasure. My stomach dropped. They'll try to take me. Oh, they'll definitely try. He smiled slightly. Good thing you chose the most violent pack in the territory to protect you. Ashara joined us, still in wolf form. We need to talk. Tomorrow. For now. She addressed the whole pack. Run. We've got a moon to celebrate, and a new pack treasure to welcome properly. The pack howled agreement and took off into the forest. The full moon run, an ancient tradition I hadn't participated in since childhood. Come on, Kieran said through bond, shifting back to wolf form. Try to keep up. He was gray-silver in wolf form. Lean. Scarred on his left side like his human form. Built for speed and precision rather than raw power. I haven't run in 23 years, I protested. Then you're overdue. He took off. I followed. And for the first time in 23 years, I ran free. Chapter 11. The Moon Speaker's Education. The next morning, Ashara called a private council. Just her, Kieran, and 3 of her most trusted advisors. We met in her command tent, still refusing proper housing, surrounded by maps and battle plans and the organized chaos that followed her everywhere. Leanna has a problem, Ashara said without preamble. Actually, we have a problem. She's moon-blessed. Word is going to spread. Every pack within 500 miles will hear about the Omega who can pacify armies with a howl. They'll want her, said Mira, one of the advisors, either as weapon or as prize to keep enemies from having her. Exactly. So we need strategy. Ashara looked at me. Tell me about moon blessing. What do you know? Not much. The Moonsong Veil elders said it was rare. A gift from the goddess to wolves who could bring peace. I was 12 when it first manifested. I could calm angry packmates, soothe wounded wolves, make disputes feel less important. I hesitated. They said I'd grow into the power, become a great healer. That was supposed to be my purpose. Until raiders stole you. Until raiders stole me, I confirmed. And I was collared before I could really learn what I was capable of. Last night was the first time I've used it since I was 12. So you're untrained, powerful but uncontrolled. Kieran leaned forward. Can you do it deliberately? Or was last night pure instinct? I don't know, I just reacted. I was terrified, and my wolf did what she thought would help. We need to train you, Ashara decided. Teach you to control it. To use it deliberately instead of reactively. If you can pacify armies on command, you're the most valuable asset in the region. I'm not an asset. I'm a person. You're both. Welcome to being useful. She softened slightly. I'm not going to exploit you, Leanna, but I am going to make sure you can defend yourself, because the wolves who come for you won't have my restraint. What wolves specifically? All of them, but especially Rainia Ironfang. Mira pulled out a map pointing to a territory east of ours. Iron Queen rules the Bloodstone Pack. She's been expanding aggressively for 5 years. Currently controls 7 territories through conquest, and 3 more through vassalage. She's smart, ruthless, and obsessed with collecting useful wolves. Collecting? She doesn't kill powerful wolves. She recruits them, forces pack bonds, turns enemies into weapons. Mira's expression darkened. She's built the strongest pack in the region through systematic acquisition of anyone useful. And now she'll want Leanna, Kieran said. A moon-blessed wolf who can prevent battles? That's too useful for Rainia to ignore. So what do we do? I asked. We prepare, Ashara said. We train you, we fortify borders, and we make it very clear that taking you means going through Scorched Veil, which means death. That won't stop her. No, but it'll make her think twice. Ashara stood. You've got 3 months, Leanna. Maybe 6 if we're lucky. Learn everything you can about your gift, because when Rainia comes, and she will come, you need to be ready. Chapter 12. Training the Voice. Kieran took over my training personally. I don't know anything about moon blessing, he admitted on our first session, but I know how to train control, how to turn instinct into skill. That's what you need. We started simple, shifting on command. I'd gone 23 years without shifting. Now I needed to do it as easily as breathing. It was harder than expected. My body fought it. Too many years of conditioning. Too many associations with pain and captivity. But Kieran was patient. Relentless, but patient. Stop thinking, he'd say when I froze up. Your mind makes it complicated. Your wolf knows what to do. Trust her. Slowly, over weeks, shifting became easier. Less painful. More natural. Then came the howl training. Show me, Kieran said one morning. We were alone in a training clearing. Howl like you did during the raid. I tried. The sound came out weak, uncertain. Nothing like the resonant power that had frozen an enemy pack. Again. I tried again. Better, but still not right. You're holding back. Why? Because I struggled to articulate it. Because my voice was the reason they took me. The reason Moonsong Veil was raided. The reason I spent 23 years in collar. My voice destroyed my life. No, raiders destroyed your life. Your voice is just what you survived with. He moved closer. You're afraid of your own power because powerful people hurt you. But power isn't the problem. How it's used is. What if I use it wrong? Then you learn. That's what training is for. Making mistakes when stakes are low so you don't make them when they matter. He stepped back. Howl. Really howl. Don't hold back. Don't be afraid. Just let it out. I closed my eyes, reached for that place inside where my wolf waited, where the power lived. What if I hurt someone? What if you save someone? My wolf responded. I howled. The sound resonated through the clearing, through the forest. I felt it ripple outward like a stone dropped in still water. Felt it touch the minds of nearby wolves, our own pack members training elsewhere, and soften their aggression, calm their territorial instincts, make them peaceful. When I opened my eyes, Kieran was smiling. Actually smiling. That rare expression that transformed his scarred face from intimidating to almost kind. There it is, he said quietly. That's what you're capable of when you stop being afraid of yourself. Chapter 13. The Growing Threat. 3 months passed in intensive training. I learned to howl on command, to target specific wolves instead of affecting everyone nearby, to adjust intensity from mild calming to complete pacification, to sustain it long enough to de-escalate fights before they started. I became proficient at shifting, fast enough that I could go from human to wolf in under 3 seconds, controlled enough that I could shift partially, just claws, just enhanced senses, just enough change to be useful without full transformation. I studied pack law with Ashara, learning the intricate rules that governed wolf society, the ancient agreements, the loopholes, the places where custom trumped decree. I trained in basic combat with Kieran, learning to defend myself when my howl wasn't enough. I wasn't a warrior, would never be a warrior, but I learned to not be completely helpless. And slowly I began to change, not just in skill, in presence, in confidence, in the way I carried myself. I stopped flinching when wolves moved suddenly, stopped waiting for permission to speak, stopped existing as the broken Omega who'd chosen pack bond out of desperation. I became someone who belonged, someone valued, someone powerful. The pack felt it, treated me differently, not as property or tool, but as genuine pack member, as the moon speaker, the title they'd given me after the full moon incident. Even Kieran changed toward me, less distant, more something. I couldn't quite name it. But the way he looked at me shifted from professional assessment to something warmer. We trained together daily, talked after sessions, real conversations about past trauma, present struggles, future fears. Built trust slowly, carefully, like 2 broken things learning to be whole together. I didn't call it love, didn't dare. But there was something growing between us, something gentle and patient and built on mutual understanding rather than desperation or need. He understood what it meant to survive trauma, to be broken and rebuild, to be afraid of your own strength. And I understood what it meant to live behind armor, to keep everyone at distance, to be trusted but never known. We saw each other, really saw each other, and neither of us ran. Chapter 14. The Iron Queen's Offer. The messenger arrived on a cold autumn morning. Iron Queen Rainia's herald, a massive wolf with Bloodstone pack markings, approached Scorched Veil's border under peace banner. White cloth, formal protocols. All the diplomatic niceties that meant, I'm not here to fight, but I could. Ashara received him in the gathering ground. Full pack assembled. Display of strength. I stood beside her in human form. Kieran on her other side. The 3 of us representing Scorched Veil's power structure. The herald shifted to human, middle-aged, scarred, professional. Fire Luna Ashara Stormbreaker, he said formally. I bring greetings from Iron Queen Rainia of the Bloodstone Pack. She requests parley regarding a matter of mutual interest. Mutual interest, Ashara repeated. How diplomatic. What does Rainia actually want? She wishes to discuss the moon-blessed wolf residing in your territory. Lyanna of Moonsong Vale, now called Moon Speaker of Scorched Veil. Every wolf in the clearing tensed, protective instinct rippling through pack bonds. Lyanna isn't a matter, Ashara said coldly. She's a pack member, not for sale, not for trade, not negotiable. The Iron Queen anticipated that response. She asked me to convey her respect for pack bonds and territorial law. She doesn't wish to violate either. Then why send a herald? Because there are ways to accomplish goals that don't require violation. He pulled out a sealed letter. She's written her offer directly, for Lyanna's eyes. Absolutely not, Ashara started. I'll read it, I interrupted. Every wolf turned to look at me. I'm not a child to be protected from uncomfortable truths. If Rainia has something to say, let her say it. Ashara looked like she wanted to argue. Didn't. Fine, read it. But you're not going anywhere alone with this message bearer. The herald handed me the letter. I broke the seal. Moon Speaker Lyanna, I've heard of your gift, of the howl that calms rage and prevents bloodshed. In a world of violence, you are precious. A wolf who can bring peace through power, rather than force through fear. I wish to meet you. Not to threaten, not to coerce, simply to talk, to understand what you are, and what you might become. I rule 7 territories. More will follow. I'm building an empire that brings order to chaos, unity to fragmentation. Your gift would be invaluable to that mission. Not as weapon, but as bridge between warring packs. Come to Bloodstone territory. 3 days, under peace banner and guest right. I swear by the moon goddess herself, no harm will come to you. You'll be free to leave whenever you choose. I'm not asking for loyalty, just conversation. Surely that's not too much to ask. Rainia Ironfang, Iron Queen of Bloodstone. I looked up. She wants to meet, under guest right. Absolutely not, Kieran said immediately. It's a trap. Guest right is sacred, Mira argued. Violating it means losing all diplomatic standing. Even Rainia wouldn't risk that. Rainia violates whatever serves her purpose, Kieran countered. Guest right means nothing to wolves obsessed with collecting useful assets. What do you think? Ashara asked me directly. You're the one she's courting. I thought about it. About the carefully worded letter. About the formal protocols. About what Rainia actually wanted. I think she's genuinely curious. I think she wants to evaluate me personally before deciding how to proceed. And I think refusing to meet makes me look weak. Like I'm hiding behind Scorched Veil instead of standing as my own wolf. You're not weak. I know, but she doesn't. And neither does anyone else watching this situation develop. I met Ashara's eyes. I should go, hear what she has to say, evaluate the threat directly instead of hiding from it. You could die. I could. Or I could learn something useful. Either way, hiding accomplishes nothing. Ashara was quiet for a long moment. Then, if you go protected. Kieran goes with you. So does a squad of our best warriors. Guest right extends to reasonable security detail. Agreed, the herald said. The Iron Queen welcomes an appropriately sized honor guard. Then I'll go, I decided. 3 days. We hear what Rainia has to say. Then we come home. Kieran looked at me like I'd lost my mind. This is a terrible idea. Probably, but terrible ideas have been working out for me lately. I looked at the herald. Tell your queen I accept her invitation. We arrive in 3 days. The herald bowed and departed. Behind me, the pack erupted into argument, some agreeing with my decision, others calling it suicide. I stood quiet, watching the herald disappear into the forest, and wondered if I'd just made the smartest decision of my life. or signed my own death warrant. Part 3, The Iron Queen, Chapter 15. Bloodstone Territory. Bloodstone Territory was nothing like Scorched Veil, where Ashara's lands were wild and untamed, forests left to grow as they pleased, camps instead of proper buildings, organized chaos. Rhaenya's domain was ordered, controlled, every tree strategically placed, every structure built with military precision. Even the wolves moved with parade ground discipline. It felt like walking into a machine. We crossed the border at dawn, me, Kieran, and 12 of Scorched Veil's finest warriors, all under peace banner, all hyper-aware that we were walking into potential trap. Bloodstone guards met us at the border, professional, courteous, weapons sheathed but present. They escorted us deeper into territory without conversation. Too quiet, Kieran muttered beside me. We were both in human form, clothed in Scorched Veil colors, rust red and gray. Disciplined wolves are dangerous wolves. Disciplined wolves are predictable wolves, I countered. That's useful. Or it means they follow orders without question, including orders to violate guest right if their queen commands it. You're paranoid. I'm experienced. There's a difference. The Bloodstone capital emerged from the forest like a fortress. Stone walls, guard towers, gates that could withstand siege. It looked less like a pack center and more like a military installation. We were led through streets lined with wolves who stopped and stared. Not hostile, just curious. Like we were exotic animals being paraded through their territory. The palace, because it was absolutely a palace, not a pack house, dominated the center of the capital. 3 stories, stone and iron, beautiful in a cold, imposing way. Iron Queen Rhaenya waited in the throne room, and she was magnificent. Tall, maybe 6 feet in human form. Built like a warrior who'd spent decades honing her body into weapon. Black hair shot through with silver. Amber eyes that glowed even without wolf transformation. Scars visible on her arms and neck. Badges of honor, not shame. She wore armor even in her own throne room. Black steel, practical. Designed for combat, not ceremony. She looked like every nightmare story about conquering queens made flesh. "Moonspeaker Lyanna," she said. Her voice was deeper than expected. Cultured. "Welcome to Bloodstone. I'm pleased you accepted my invitation." "Iron Queen Rhaenya," I responded formally. "Thank you for hosting us under guest right." "Of course. Guest right is sacred." She stood, descending from her throne. "Though I notice you brought quite the entourage. 14 wolves. That's more than reasonable security detail." "Forgive me for not trusting a queen who conquers territories for sport," Kieran said dryly. Rhaenya smiled. "The commander, Kieran Ashford, yes? Ashara's tactical genius. I've heard about you. 17 victories without a single loss. Impressive. Flattery won't lower my guard. I wouldn't insult you by trying." She turned back to me. "Walk with me, Moonspeaker. Just you and I. Your wolves can wait here under my hospitality. I promise, no harm will come to them." "Absolutely not," Kieran said immediately. "It's fine," I told him. "We're under guest right. She won't risk violating it in her own territory with witnesses. Lyanna, I'll be fine. Trust me." He didn't look happy, but he nodded. I followed Rhaenya out of the throne room. Chapter 16, The Queen's Garden. Rhaenya led me to a private garden. Not wild like Scorched Veil's forests, cultivated, controlled. Every plant chosen deliberately, arranged artfully. Beautiful in the way museums are beautiful, impressive, but lifeless. "You're wondering why I wanted to meet," Rhaenya said, walking beside me. "Wondering what I truly want." The thought had crossed my mind. I want to understand what you are, what you represent. She stopped beside a fountain. Stone wolves frozen in eternal hunt. "Do you know what moon blessing really is, Lyanna? A gift from the goddess. the ability to calm rage and bring peace. That's what the stories say. But stories simplify. Moon blessing isn't just about calming emotions. It's about imposing will through presence. You don't soothe wolves, you dominate them. You force your emotional state onto others so completely they can't maintain their own aggression. I stared. I don't dominate anyone. You pacify them. Make them calm whether they want to be or not. That's domination, Leanna. Gentler than physical force, but no less absolute. She turned to face me. You're one of the most powerful wolves I've ever encountered, and you don't even realize it. If you're trying to scare me, I'm trying to educate you, because wolves like us, wolves with power, have responsibilities. We can bring order or chaos, unity or fragmentation. The question is which we choose. And you've chosen order through conquest. I've chosen unity through strength. The wolf world is fragmented. Hundreds of packs fighting over territory, resources, honor. Constant warfare. Endless suffering. Someone needs to bring structure, peace, a system that protects weak wolves from strong ones. By forcing everyone into your empire whether they want it or not. By creating something larger than individual pack loyalty. By building a society where laws matter more than alpha whims. She moved closer. You could help me do that. Your gift could unite packs without bloodshed. Could make my empire something wolves join willingly instead of through conquest. You want me to help you conquer the region. I want you to help me bring peace. Real peace. Not the unstable truce between territories, but genuine unity. Her eyes gleamed. Imagine it, Leanna. No more raids, no more slavery, no more packs destroyed because they were weak. Just order, law, protection. It sounded tempting. For a moment I could see what she described. A world where wolves like me, weak, powerless, easily victimized, were protected by structure instead of destroyed by chaos. Then I remembered who was offering it. You destroyed 3 packs last year, I said quietly. Killed their alphas. Forced pack bonds. Turned survivors into weapons. That's not peace. That's subjugation. Those packs raided their neighbors, kept slaves, violated every law governing wolf society. I gave them chances to reform. They refused, so I removed them. No shame, no guilt, just cold pragmatism. Sometimes violence is necessary to establish peace. Surely you understand that. I understand that power corrupts, that queens who believe they're building utopia usually build tyranny instead. And omegas who believe they're weak usually stay that way. She leaned against the fountain. You're afraid of your own power. Afraid of what you could become if you stopped hiding behind Ashara's protection. That's why you interest me. Not because you're useful, but because you're wasted potential. I'm not wasted. I'm free. Are you? Or have you just traded one collar for another? You serve Ashara now instead of Ironwood slavers. Still translating. Still advising. Still being useful instead of powerful. She studied me. What happens when Ashara falls? When Scorched Veil is conquered by someone less benevolent? You'll be vulnerable again, property again, unless you choose real power. By joining you. By becoming something greater than pack loyalty. By standing as your own authority instead of hiding behind others. She extended her hand. Join me, Leanna. Not as subordinate, but as equal. Help me build an empire where wolves like you, moon-blessed, sacred, powerful, are protected and honored instead of victimized. I looked at her hand, at the offer, at everything she represented, and I saw the truth. She didn't want me as equal. She wanted me as weapon, as tool to make her conquests look like peaceful unification, as the gentle face on brutal empire. She was Darius Blackridge, with better marketing. No, I said. Her expression didn't change. You're sure? Completely. I won't help you build tyranny and call it peace. Unfortunate. She withdrew her hand. I'd hoped you'd be reasonable, that we could accomplish this without unpleasantness. The temperature in the garden seemed to drop. What do you mean, unpleasantness? I mean that I offered you partnership. You refused, so now we move to less pleasant negotiations. She raised her hand. Guards emerged from hidden positions, dozens of them, surrounding the garden, surrounding me. You're violating guest right, I said, fear spiking despite my attempt at calm. I am, and I'll pay the price diplomatically, but you're too valuable to let walk away. She smiled. It didn't reach her eyes. I tried asking nicely. Now I'm simply taking what I need. Kieran and your escort are currently being detained. Also a violation of guest right. Also worth the cost. She nodded to her guards. Take her. Carefully. She's precious. I shifted, fast as Kieran had taught me. My silver wolf form erupted in moonlight glow. I howled. The sound rippled through the garden, through the palace. Calm. Peace. Pacification. The guards hesitated. Their aggressive postures softened, their weapons lowered slightly, but they didn't stop. Silver collars, Rayanya said calmly, proof against moon blessing. Did you think I'd capture you without preparation? She shifted partially, claws, fangs, alpha presence pressing down. I've been planning this for months. Since the moment I heard about you, every detail, every contingency. The guards wore collars. Silver collars that blocked my howl's effects. They advanced despite my power. I ran, broke through a gap in the circle, used my smaller size to slip past larger wolves, headed for the palace exit, for freedom, for something hit me. Not claws, not teeth, a net, silver threaded. It wrapped around me mid-stride, tangling legs, burning fur, forcing me to stumble and collapse. The guards were on me immediately. More nets, silver chains, a collar around my throat that burned and suppressed and silenced. I shifted back to human involuntarily. Naked, bound, powerless. Rayanya stood over me. I'm sorry it came to this. Truly, but you're too important to let go. Too useful to my vision. You'll understand eventually, when you see what we accomplished together. I'll never help you, I spat. You will. Everyone does, given proper motivation. She gestured. Take her to the holding cells. Keep her comfortable. Keep her safe. She's precious cargo. They dragged me away. The last thing I saw was Rayanya returning to her palace. Unconcerned, confident. She'd captured me, violated guest right, imprisoned the moon speaker of Scorched Veil, and she thought she'd won. Chapter 17. The Cell. The cell wasn't a dungeon. That almost made it worse. It was comfortable. Well lit, clean, a bed with actual mattress, water, food, even books and writing materials. Everything except freedom. The door was iron-reinforced oak. The collar around my neck was silver, suppressing shifting, blocking my wolf, keeping me human and helpless. I'd traded one captivity for another. The irony was devastating. Kieran and the others were in cells nearby. I could hear them through the walls, could feel their presence through the dampened pack bond. Alive, unharmed, also collared and contained. Liana? Kieran's voice carried through stone. You hurt? No. You? Just pissed off. I told you this was a trap. You were right. Congratulations. Not how I wanted to be right. Pause. She violated guest right. That's war-worthy. Ashara will come for us. And walk into whatever trap Rayanya has prepared? She's been planning this for months. She'll be ready. Silence. Because I was right, and he knew it. Footsteps approached. The cell door opened. Rayanya entered alone, still in armor, still projecting absolute confidence. Comfortable? She asked. Go to hell. I've been told it's quite pleasant this time of year. She sat on the bed beside me. I shifted away. I meant what I said, Leanna. This doesn't have to be imprisonment. Work with me, and you'll have freedom, resources, purpose, beyond being Ashara's useful Omega. I'm not her Omega. I'm her pack member. There's a difference. Is there? You still serve, still translate, still advise, still do what you're told. That's not freedom. That's just prettier slavery. And what would serving you be? Partnership. You'd have real authority, real power. You'd help me unite the region and create something lasting. She leaned forward. Think about it. No more packs destroyed like Moonsong Vale. No more Omegas sold into bondage. No more chaos and violence. Just order, peace, structure that protects the weak. Built on conquest and violation. Built on necessary force to establish lasting stability. Yes, there's blood. All great societies begin in blood, but they end in peace. That's what matters. The end result, not the messy process. That's how tyrants think. That's how builders think. She stood. I'll give you 3 days. 3 days to consider my offer. To recognize that joining me is better than resisting. If you agree, we begin work immediately. If you refuse, she shrugged, then I keep you here until you change your mind, however long that takes. I'll never change my mind. Everyone says that. Usually changes within a week. She walked to the door. Think carefully, Moonspeaker. This is the best offer you're going to receive. I'm extending it because I respect you, but respect has limits. She left. I sat in my comfortable cell and felt the collar burn and wondered how I'd been stupid enough to walk into obvious trap. I'm sorry, I told my wolf. I'm so sorry. We were free and I got us captured again. She didn't respond. The silver collar kept her suppressed, distant, barely present. 23 years escaping bondage. 3 days to walk right back into it. Chapter 18, The Breaking Point. 3 days passed in comfortable captivity. Rainia visited daily, always alone, always calm, always presenting the same offer with slightly different words. Join her. Help unite the region. Use my power for peace. I refused every time. You're being stubborn, she said on the 3rd day. Childishly, pointlessly stubborn. I'm offering you everything. Power, purpose, protection. Why refuse? Because your peace is built on forced submission. Because you violated guest right. Because everything you say sounds reasonable until you remember you're saying it to a prisoner you collared against her will. I met her eyes. You can't offer freedom from a position of captivity and expect me to believe it's real. Then you're more damaged than I thought, she sighed. I'd hoped you'd be rational, that we could avoid unpleasantness. Seems I was wrong. What unpleasantness? Motivation. She pulled out a key. Your escort is being held separately. 14 wolves, all collared, all helpless. I've been keeping them comfortable because I'm not needlessly cruel. But comfort isn't a right, it's a courtesy. And courtesy ends when it stops serving my purposes. My stomach dropped. You wouldn't. I would. I will. Unless you agree to help me. She leaned against the wall. I don't want to hurt them. Would prefer not to. But you need to understand that your choices have consequences beyond yourself. That your stubbornness costs others their comfort, their safety, eventually their lives. That's not motivation. That's hostage-taking. Semantics. Will you help me or not? I thought about Kieran, about the 12 warriors who'd volunteered to protect me, about them suffering because I refused to submit. Then I thought about what submission would mean. Helping Rainia conquer territories. Using my gift to pacify resistance. Becoming the tool that made tyranny look like peace. No, I said. I won't help you torture the region into unity. Even if it means your people suffer? Even then, because if I help you, everyone suffers. At least this way, it's just us. Rainia studied me for a long moment. You're either incredibly brave or incredibly stupid. I haven't decided which. Can't it be both? She almost smiled. Almost. I'll return tomorrow, with new motivation. Think carefully about how much suffering you're willing to cause through pride. She left. I sat in my comfortable cell and tried not to think about what new motivation meant. Tried not to imagine Kieran being hurt because I refused to submit. Tried not to feel like every decision I made was wrong. Chapter 19, The Howl That Changed Everything. They came for me at dawn. Not gently, not with courtesy. Guards burst into my cell, hauled me upright, dragged me through corridors. I was brought to a courtyard, open space, walls on all sides. Bloodstone pack assembled to watch. Rainia stood on a raised platform. Kieran knelt beside her, still collared, hands bound. Blood on his face. Fresh bruises. "Good morning, Moonspeaker," Rainia called. "Sleep well?" I said nothing, just stared at Kieran, at the evidence of what refusing Rainia cost. "I'm going to make this very simple," Rainia continued. "You have a choice. Join me voluntarily, or watch me systematically break everyone you care about until you do. Starting with your commander here." "Don't," Kieran said. His voice was rough but steady. "Don't give her anything. Let her kill me. Better dead than watching you become her weapon." "Noble," Rainia said. "Stupid, but noble." She placed clawed hand on Kieran's shoulder. "Last chance, Moonspeaker. Say yes, and this ends now. Say no, and I start removing pieces of him until you change your mind." I looked at Kieran, at his gray eyes that had seen me when I was broken. That had helped me rebuild. That had taught me to shift again, to trust again, to be powerful again. At the person I cared about. More than cared about. Loved, maybe. If I was brave enough to name it. Rainia was right. My choices had consequences beyond myself. But so did submission. If I helped her, I'd betray everything Moonsong Veil had taught me. Everything Scorched Veil had given me. Everything I'd become in 23 years of surviving captivity. I'd become exactly what they'd tried to make me. Property, tool, weapon. "I'm sorry," I told Kieran. "I'm so sorry." His eyes widened. "Leanna, don't." "I'm not apologizing for submitting." I looked at Rainia. "I'm apologizing for what I'm about to do." I howled. The collar suppressed shifting. Blocked my wolf. Prevented transformation. But it couldn't stop my voice. The howl that emerged wasn't moon blessing. Wasn't pacification. Wasn't the gentle calm that soothed rage. It was grief. Pure. Devastating. 23 years of accumulated suffering compressed into sound. The loss of Moonsong Veil. The horror of slavery. The slow rebuilding of self. The fear of losing it all again. Every trauma. Every wound. Every moment I'd survived by being stronger than I had any right to be. I poured it all into my voice and hurled it at every wolf in the courtyard. The sound didn't calm them. It broke them. Wolves collapsed. Not physically. Psychologically. Overwhelmed by emotional weight they couldn't process. Couldn't defend against. Couldn't withstand. It was moon blessing inverted. Instead of imposing peace, I imposed feeling. Made them experience what I'd experienced. Made them understand suffering they'd never imagined. Guards fell. Warriors crumpled. Even Rainia stumbled, her iron control cracking under the weight of genuine grief. Only Kieran stayed upright, because he knew this pain, had survived his own version, could withstand mine because he'd already carried similar burden. "Run!" he shouted. Broke his bonds. They'd been weakened by guard inattention. Grabbed Rainia's keys. "Lyanna, run!" I stopped howling. The courtyard was chaos. Wolves sobbing. Wolves frozen. Wolves completely overwhelmed. Kieran freed me, removed the collar. My wolf surged back to presence. "The others?" I gasped. "We need to free—" "Already done. Sent orders through pack bond while you were destroying their minds." He grabbed my hand. "Now we run before they recover." We ran. Through corridors, past traumatized guards, out gates that stood open because no one could close them, into the forest. Behind us, Bloodstone territory descended into psychological devastation, and I realized something terrible. My power wasn't just about peace. It was about emotion control, total, absolute. I could impose any feeling I wanted. I was exactly as dangerous as Rainia had said. Maybe more. Chapter 20. The escape we ran for 3 days. 14 wolves fleeing through hostile territory. All of us injured, exhausted, traumatized, but alive. Kieran led us, navigated by stars and instinct. Avoided Bloodstone patrols through a combination of luck and tactical brilliance. On the 3rd day, we crossed into Scorched Veil territory. Ashara met us at the border with 100 warriors. "You're alive," she said, relief and fury mixing in her voice. "You're goddamn alive." "Barely," Kieran replied. "We need medical attention. You need to tell me what happened, how you escaped, how many Bloodstone wolves we killed in the process." "None," I said. Everyone turned to look at me. We didn't kill anyone. I did something. Used my power. Not pacification. Something worse. Worse how? I made them feel. The words felt inadequate. Made them experience what I'd experienced. Broke them psychologically. They're probably still recovering. Ashara was quiet for a moment. "You weaponized trauma." "I didn't mean to. I just howled. And it came out wrong. Or right. Or—" I couldn't articulate it. I don't know what I did, but it was powerful. More powerful than moon blessing should be. "We'll discuss it later. For now, medical tent. All of you, get checked, get fed, get rested." She looked at me specifically. "We need to talk, Leanna, about what happened, about what you've become." "I know." That night, cleaned and bandaged and fed, I sat with Ashara and Kieran in the command tent. "Rainia violated guest right," Ashara said. "That's war-worthy. I could call every alliance we have and destroy Bloodstone territory." "Don't," I said. "War will cost thousands of lives, and it won't solve the real problem." "Which is?" "That every powerful alpha in the region wants me, either as weapon or as threat to eliminate. Rainia was just the first to act. Others will follow, and Scorched Veil will be dragged into conflict after conflict defending me." "So, what do you suggest?" I'd been thinking about this for 3 days. About Rainia's offer. About what she'd said about my power. About what I'd discovered in that courtyard. I suggest I become something no one can capture. Something beyond pack politics and territorial disputes. I looked at both of them. I become independent. Moon speaker to all packs. Sacred neutral party. Someone who walks between territories and prevents wars before they start. "That's suicide," Kieran said immediately. "You'd be vulnerable, unprotected. Easy target for anyone who wanted you." "Would I? If I'm sacred? If I'm the voice of the moon goddess herself?" I leaned forward. "Think about it. No pack would risk killing me because the others would unite against them. No one would capture me because guest right violations would cost them everything. I'd be protected by being valuable to everyone and owned by no one." Ashara studied me. "You're talking about recreating the ancient role of moon speaker. The mediators who existed before pack territories became rigid, before alphas started conquering instead of negotiating." "Yes. That role died out centuries ago, for good reasons. Moon speakers had no power to enforce their decisions. They were ceremonial, decorative, useful when convenient, ignored when not. But I'm not decorative. I'm dangerous." I met her eyes. "I proved that in Bloodstone. I can impose emotions, control minds, force peace when necessary. I'm not asking to be ceremonial figurehead. I'm offering to be the consequence for pack violence." Silence. You'd leave Scorched Veil, Kieran said quietly. I'd walk between territories. I'd still consider Scorched Veil home, but I couldn't be pack-bonded, couldn't belong to anyone. I'd have to be neutral, sacred, above pack politics. Alone. Yes, alone. More silence. Then Ashara. I don't like it. Don't like sending you out unprotected. Don't like losing you as pack member. But it's smart, Kieran finished reluctantly. It solves multiple problems, removes the target from Scorched Veil's back, gives Lyanna the independence she needs, creates a role that benefits everyone. If the other packs accept it, Ashara argued. They will, I said. Because refusing means war with each other over who gets to control me. Accepting means they all benefit from my gift without fighting for it. The math is simple. Ashara looked at Kieran. They had one of those wordless conversations longtime partners develop. Finally, 3 months, we make the announcement. We negotiate with major packs. We establish protocols and protections. We do this right, or we don't do it at all. Agreed. And Lyanna? Ashara smiled slightly. When you're the moon speaker to all packs, when you're walking between territories bringing peace and preventing wars, don't forget where you came from. Don't forget who gave you the freedom to become this. I won't, I promise. We spent the next 3 months preparing, and at the end of them I would step into a role that hadn't existed for centuries. I would become the moon speaker, sacred, neutral, alone. But finally, completely, undeniably free. Part 4, The Moon Speaker. Chapter 21, The Conquered. 3 months after escaping Bloodstone, I stood before the Grand Concord, not as prisoner, not as commodity, as something unprecedented. The Concord met in the Silverwood Grove, ancient neutral ground where the oldest packs had negotiated the first territorial treaties. Massive trees, sacred ground, protected by agreements older than any living wolf. 15 alphas attended, representatives from every major pack within 500 miles. They came because Ashara had called Concord, a formal gathering that couldn't be refused without severe diplomatic consequences. They came expecting to discuss Rainia's violation of guest right, to debate war, to divide territories and assign blame. Instead, they got me. I stood in the center of the grove in human form. Simple white clothing, no pack colors, no territorial markers. Hair unbound, silver-streaked from stress and power use. I looked like what I was claiming to be, sacred, neutral, beyond pack politics. Ashara spoke first from her position in the circle. Honored alphas. I called Concord to address the crisis created by Iron Queen Rainia's violation of guest right, but also to propose a solution that benefits all territories. We know what happened, growled Alpha Tauren of the Shadowpine Pack. Rainia captured your moon speaker, violated sacred law. That's war-worthy. We should be discussing alliance terms, not standing around talking. War costs lives, Ashara countered. Thousands dead, territories destroyed. And it doesn't solve the real problem. Which is? That every powerful alpha wants Lyanna. She's too valuable, too useful. Her gift could change the balance of power in any territory, so we'll fight over her. War after war, conquest after conquest, until she's dead or broken or possessed by someone strong enough to keep her. Murmurs of agreement, some uncomfortable, but no one denied it. Unless, Ashara continued, we make her impossible to possess. We recreate the ancient role of Moonspeaker, sacred, neutral party. Someone who walks between territories preventing wars instead of causing them. That role is ceremonial, said Alpha Maris of the Stormcrest Pack. Moonspeakers had no real authority. They were tradition, symbol, nothing more. I'm proposing something different. I spoke for the first time. Every alpha turned to look at me. Not ceremonial, functional. I walk between territories as neutral mediator. When packs have disputes, I help negotiate before they become wars. When treaties need witnesses, I provide neutral testimony. When peace hangs by thread, I use my gift to prevent bloodshed. And in exchange? Asked Alpha Tauren suspiciously. In exchange, you respect my neutrality. You don't capture me. Don't coerce me. Don't try to force pack bonds. I'm protected by collective agreement. Violating my neutrality means every other pack unites against you. That's a lot of protection for one Omega. I'm not Omega. I'm moon-blessed. I'm the voice that can stop wars. I'm valuable enough that fighting over me costs more than sharing access. I looked around the circle. You can possess me individually and make enemies of everyone else. Or you can share neutral access and benefit collectively. The choice is simple. Simple for you, growled someone. You get freedom and protection. What do we get? Peace. Real peace. Not unstable truces, but genuine conflict resolution. I prevent the wars that cost you warriors, territory, resources. I'm cheaper than violence and more effective than diplomacy alone. Silence. They were considering it. Actually considering it. Then Alpha Rhaenyra stepped into the grove. I hadn't seen her in 3 months. She looked the same. Tall, armored, absolutely confident. But something in her eyes was different. Harder. Colder. Moon Speaker Lyanna, she said. Her voice carried. You stand here claiming neutrality while hiding behind Scorched Veil's protection. That's not neutrality. That's cowardice dressed as diplomacy. I stand here offering something that benefits everyone, I responded calmly. Including you. Or did you enjoy the 3 days your pack spent recovering from what I did to them? Her expression darkened. Everyone knew what had happened in Bloodstone Courtyard. How I'd broken trained warriors with a howl. How they'd been psychologically devastated for days afterward. You used your gift as weapon. Violated its purpose. That's not peace. That's aggression. I defended myself against illegal imprisonment. Against torture. Against violation of guest right. I stepped forward. You captured me. Collared me. Threatened to break my people until I submitted. And you call my response aggression? I offered you partnership, power, purpose. You refused and chose violence. You offered me slavery with better marketing. I chose freedom. I looked around at the assembled alphas. That's what this proposal is about. Ensuring no pack can do what Rhaenyra did. Can capture sacred wolves and force their compliance. Can violate neutrality without consequences. And if we refuse your proposal? Rhaenyra asked. If we decide that powerful wolves should belong to powerful packs instead of wandering free? Then you guarantee war, because every alpha here will fight over me. Some will die, others will conquer, but all will suffer. Is that preferable to neutral access? More silence. Heavy. Tense. Then Alpha Maris spoke. I support the proposal. Moonspeaker neutrality benefits my territory and costs me nothing. Shadowpine? Alpha Tauren hesitated. Then, agreed. Neutrality over war. One by one, the other alphas voted. Some enthusiastic, some reluctant. But the logic was inescapable. Sharing access was cheaper than fighting over exclusive possession. When it came to Rhaenyra, she was silent for a long moment. I vote no, she said finally. This proposal rewards weakness. Allows powerful wolves to escape pack structure. Creates precedent for others to claim sacred status and demand protection. Your vote is noted, Ashara said, but majority rules. 14-1. The proposal passes. Rhaenya's eyes flashed gold. For a moment I thought she'd challenge. Attack. Refuse to accept the Concord's decision. Instead, she smiled. Cold. Calculated. Majority rules, she agreed. I respect Concord decision. Moonspeaker Lyanna has her neutrality. I won't violate it. She left the grove without another word. I should have felt relieved. Victorious. Safe. Instead, I felt uneasy. because Rainia had surrendered too easily, and wolves who surrender easily are planning something worse. Chapter 22. The New Role. The first month as Moonspeaker was harder than expected. Not physically, not even diplomatically, but emotionally. I walked alone. No pack bond connecting me to others. No home territory to return to. No family beyond the wolves I'd chosen to leave behind. Neutral meant isolated. I traveled between territories, mediating disputes, witnessing treaties, using my gift to prevent wars before they started. It worked. My presence calmed tensions. My howl pacified aggressive wolves. My reputation grew. The Moonspeaker, sacred voice, goddess-touched mediator. But I was so goddamn lonely. I visited Scorched Veil when I could. Ashara welcomed me. The pack treated me with respect bordering on reverence. But it wasn't the same. I wasn't pack anymore. Wasn't bonded. Wasn't theirs. I was sacred. Untouchable. Alone. Kieran felt it too. We'd been careful not to acknowledge what had grown between us. The connection. The understanding. The something that felt like love, but we'd never named. Now we couldn't even explore it. Because Moonspeakers couldn't have personal attachments. Couldn't show favoritism. Couldn't love anyone more than anyone else without compromising neutrality. "I miss you," he said during one visit. We were alone in the training clearing where he'd taught me to shift. "I know you're doing important work, but I miss you." "I miss you too. Is it worth it? The loneliness?" I thought about the 3 wars I'd prevented, the 5 territorial disputes I'd mediated, the dozens of wolves who were alive because my howl had stopped battles before they started. "Yes," I said. "It's worth it. But that doesn't make it easier. We could..." He stopped, started again. "If you weren't neutral, if you chose pack bond instead, I'd be vulnerable, capturable, possessed by whoever was strong enough to take me." I met his eyes. "I'd be property again, just prettier property." "That's not what I meant. I know, but it's what would happen eventually. Power attracts violence. The only way to stay free is to stay alone." He looked at me for a long moment. "I understand. Doesn't mean I have to like it. Me either." We stood in silence, 2 broken things that had helped each other heal, knowing that healing meant growing into shapes that no longer fit together. "If things were different," I said quietly. "If I could choose..." "I know, me too." He left. I stayed, practiced shifting alone. Wondered if freedom was supposed to hurt this much. Chapter 23. The Alliance. 6 months into my role as Moonspeaker, the pattern emerged. Rainia wasn't challenging me directly. She'd accepted the Concord decision, publicly respected my neutrality, but she was expanding, aggressively. 3 more territories conquered. 2 vassalized. Her empire growing steadily, consuming packs that couldn't unite against her. And she was careful. So careful. She never violated laws obviously enough to justify Concord intervention. Never crossed lines that would unite her enemies. She was playing long game. I was mediating a border dispute in Riversong territory when the messenger arrived. Young wolf, terrified, bleeding from multiple wounds. "Moonspeaker," he gasped. "You need to come. Rainia is attacking Scorched Veil. Now." She brought 1,000 warriors. "They're overwhelming the defenses." I was running before he finished speaking. Shifted mid-stride. My silver wolf form streaked through forests, across territories, toward home, toward the pack that had freed me, toward Kieran and Ashara, and everyone I cared about. The battle was chaos when I arrived. 1,000 Bloodstone warriors against 300 Scorched Veil defenders. The math was brutal. Scorched Veil was being slaughtered. Ashara fought in the center. Rust-red wolf covered in blood, alpha presence blazing. Kieran commanded the tactical retreat, trying to minimize casualties while being steadily pushed back. and Rainia watched from a hill, calm, confident, waiting. I howled. The sound rippled across the battlefield. Peace, calm, pacification. Wolves stopped fighting. Weapons lowered. The rage drained from combatants on both sides. For a moment, I thought I'd stopped it. Prevented the massacre. Then Rainia howled back. Her sound was different. Darker. It didn't pacify. It energized. Sharpened aggression instead of softening it. Pushed her warriors through my peace and back into battle fury. Surprised, Moonspeaker? Her voice carried across the battlefield. Did you think you were the only one with vocal gifts? I've been training for 6 months, learning to counter your power. Your howl calms. Mine inflames. Together, we cancel each other out. She'd planned this, developed a counter, turned my greatest weapon useless. This violates Concord law, I shouted. You can't attack member packs. I'm not attacking. I'm responding to an invitation. She gestured. A Scorched Veil wolf stepped forward, collar around his throat. Eyes vacant. This is Dren, member of Ashara's pack. He formally requested Bloodstone protection from his alpha's tyranny. I'm honor-bound to respond to pack members seeking asylum. That's a lie. It's legal technicality, which is all that matters, she smiled. You made yourself sacred and untouchable, protected by Concord law. But you forgot. Law has loopholes, and I'm very good at finding them. The battle resumed, more vicious now. Bloodstone warriors pushing hard. Scorched Veil defenders falling back. They were losing. Would lose. Would be slaughtered or absorbed into Rainia's empire. Unless I stopped her. But I couldn't fight. Couldn't take sides. Moon speakers were neutral. Sacred. Above pack warfare. If I fought, I violated my own neutrality. Destroyed the protection that kept me free. Became just another powerful wolf that alphas would fight over. Everything I'd built would collapse. Choose, Moonspeaker, Rainia called. Stay neutral and watch your friends die. Or fight and lose your sacred status. Either way, I win. I looked at the battlefield, at Ashara fighting desperately, at Kieran trying to save his pack through impossible odds, at wolves I'd lived with, trained with, cared about dying because I'd chosen neutrality over pack bond. And I understood. I'd been so focused on staying free that I'd forgotten why freedom mattered. Not for its own sake, but for what it let you do, who it let you protect, what it let you stand for. Freedom without purpose was just another kind of cage. I'd chosen neutrality to avoid being possessed, but in doing so, I'd become possessed by neutrality itself, trapped by my own sacred status, unable to act when it mattered most. Rainia was right. She'd already won. Unless I was willing to lose everything I'd built to save what actually mattered. I shifted to human form, stood on the battlefield, raised my voice. Iron Queen Rainia, I challenge you. One-on-one combat. Winner takes all. The battlefield went silent. Rainia laughed. You? Challenge me? You're not a warrior, Moonspeaker. You're a mediator. A voice. You'll die in seconds. Maybe. But by challenging you formally, I stop this battle. Pack law requires you to accept or forfeit. Your choice. Fight me or lose the legal justification for attacking Scorched Veil. Her expression darkened. If I fight you, I violate Moonspeaker neutrality. That's war-worthy. I'm renouncing neutrality. Right now. Publicly. I'm choosing pack bond over sacred status. I'm choosing family over freedom. I looked at Ashara. At Kieran. I'm choosing home. Leanna, no, Ashara started. I accept, Rainia interrupted. She shifted to human form. Walked down from her hill. You're throwing away everything you built. For what? Wolves who'll die anyway? A pack that can't protect you? For the people who loved me when I was broken, who gave me freedom when I was enslaved, who taught me that strength isn't about being untouchable. It's about choosing what you're willing to fight for. We faced each other in the center of the battlefield. She was taller, stronger, trained warrior with centuries of combat experience. I was an Omega who'd spent 23 years in bondage and 6 months walking alone. The fight would be over in seconds, but I wasn't fighting to win. I was fighting to matter. Chapter 24. The Battle of the Moon Speaker. Rainya moved first. Alpha speed. Decades of training. A strike meant to incapacitate immediately. I dodged. Barely. Kieran's training saved me. Muscle memory from months of learning to not be helpless. Clever, Rainya said, but defense isn't victory. She attacked again. And again. Testing me. Learning my limits. I couldn't match her strength, couldn't overpower her, could barely avoid her strikes. But I could endure. 23 years in bondage had taught me that. How to take pain and keep moving. How to survive overwhelming odds through pure, stubborn refusal to quit. I shifted partially. Claws, enhanced speed, just enough change to keep up. Rainya shifted too. Her wolf form was massive. Black fur. Golden eyes, built for dominance and conquest. We fought, not gracefully, not skillfully. I was outmatched in every measurable way, but I was moon-blessed. And moon-blessing wasn't just about voice. Every time Rainya struck me, I felt her. Not just physically, emotionally, the rage driving her, the ambition, the desperate need to control everything, because control meant safety. She was broken too, just differently. You're weak, she snarled, landing blow that cracked my ribs. Soft, you'll never beat me. I know, I gasped, not trying to. I howled, not pacification, not the inverted grief weapon I'd used in her courtyard. Something else? Understanding? I showed her what I'd learned from Kieran, from Ashara, from 23 years of surviving. That strength isn't about control. It's about connection. That power used alone creates tyranny. Power shared creates community. That she was building empire because she was terrified of being vulnerable, of trusting others, of being anything less than absolute authority because authority was the only safety she'd ever known. I showed her a different path. Showed her Scorched Veil. Chaotic, violent, barely controlled, but functional because Ashara led through respect instead of fear. Showed her what she could build if she stopped trying to possess everything. The howl wrapped around her, into her, through her. Rainya stumbled. Her eyes went wide. What are you? I'm giving you a choice, I said. The same choice Ashara gave me. Walk away, build something different. Or keep fighting and destroy yourself trying to control what can't be controlled. I'm not. She shook her head violently. You're manipulating me, using your gift as weapon. I'm showing you truth. What you do with it is your choice. For a moment, I thought she'd attack again. Finish the fight. Kill me and prove that strength meant dominance. Instead, she shifted to human. Sat down heavily. Stared at her hands. I don't know how to do this differently, she said quietly. Don't know how to be anything except what I am. Then learn. You've got time. You've got resources. You've got an empire that could become something better than Conquest Machine. Why are you helping me? I captured you, tortured your pack, tried to kill you. Because you're not evil. You're just scared. And I understand what fear makes people become. I extended my hand. But fear doesn't have to be permanent. We can choose differently. She looked at my hand for a long moment, then took it. I concede, she said formally. The challenge is yours, Moonspeaker. Scorched Veil is protected. I withdraw my forces. The battlefield erupted into shocked silence. I'd won, not through strength, through understanding, through the power I'd always had, but never recognized. Not moon blessing or voice or sacred status. just the ability to see broken people and choose compassion instead of judgment. Chapter 25. The Choice. The aftermath was complicated. Rainia withdrew her forces, honored her concession. But she was changed, quieter, less certain, beginning the long process of questioning everything she'd built. Ashara survived her injuries. Scorched Veil survived the battle. The pack was damaged, but alive. And I had a decision to make. I'd renounced Moonspeaker neutrality, chosen pack bond over sacred status. That meant I was vulnerable again, capturable, possessed by whoever was strong enough to take me. Unless I chose differently. You could stay, Ashara said. We were in her command tent, 3 days after the battle. Kieran was there too. Both of them recovered enough to talk. Rejoin Scorched Veil properly, full pack bond, full protection. You'd be safe. Safe and possessed, I said. Pack bond is beautiful, but it's not freedom. Not really. What do you want? Kieran asked quietly. I'd been thinking about that for 3 days. About neutrality and isolation. About pack bonds and belonging. About the space between sacred status and captivity. I want to rebuild Moonspeaker role, but differently this time. How differently? Not alone. Not isolated. I looked at both of them. I want to create a sanctuary. Neutral territory for wolves who don't fit pack structure. Omegas escaping slavery. Rogues seeking stability. Moon-blessed wolves like me who are too valuable and too vulnerable to survive in pack territories. That's ambitious, Ashara said. That's necessary. Because I'm not the only one who needs protection. There are dozens of wolves like me, powerful, but vulnerable, useful, but exploited. They need somewhere to exist safely. Who would run this sanctuary? Me, with help from anyone willing to join. We'd be neutral, sacred, but together instead of alone, strong enough to protect ourselves without pack structure. Silence. Then Kieran. I'll help. I stared. You'd leave Scorched Veil? I'd help build something better. Something that protects wolves who can't protect themselves. He met my eyes. You taught me that strength isn't about fighting. It's about choosing what you're willing to build. I'm choosing this. Ashara studied us both. You're sure? Both of you? Because once you start this, there's no going back. You'll be targets. Every alpha who wants to control powerful wolves will see you as threat. We're already targets, I said. At least this way, we're targets with purpose. Then you have my support, and Scorched Veil's protection until you're established. She smiled. Though I expect visiting rights, I'm not losing my best advisor and my tactical genius without occasional access. Deal. Over the next year, we built the sanctuary, located it in the most neutral territory we could find, ancient lands that no pack claimed, protected by treaties older than living memory. Called it Moonsong Refuge. After the pack that died so I could survive. After the peace that existed before conquest became normalized. Wolves came, slowly at first, then in growing numbers. Omegas escaping bondage, rogues seeking stability, moon-blessed wolves who were tired of being weapons or prizes, broken things that needed space to heal. We built structures, established laws, created community without pack hierarchy. It wasn't perfect. We struggled, failed, rebuilt, learned, but it was ours, free, chosen, real, and I was happy. Epilogue. The silver moon. 5 years later, I stood on the wall surrounding Moonsong Refuge and watched the full moon rise. The sanctuary had grown beyond anything I'd imagined. 200 wolves living here now, all of them choosing freedom over pack structure, all of them building something unprecedented. Thinking deep thoughts? Kieran appeared beside me, still scarred, still gray-eyed, still the person who saw me when I was broken and helped me become whole. Just remembering. It's been 10 years since Moonsong Veil fell. 28 years since I was 12 and my world ended. You've rebuilt it. We've rebuilt it, I corrected. I couldn't have done this alone. No one can do anything alone. That's the point. We stood in comfortable silence, the kind that develops between people who've survived impossible things together and chosen to keep surviving. Rainya sent a message, Kieran said eventually. She's dissolved 3 of her vassal agreements, giving territories back their independence. Says she's starting to undo the empire. That's progress. It's your influence. You showed her a different path. I showed her truth. What she does with it is her choice. I paused. Have you heard from Ashara? She's coming for the anniversary celebration, bringing half of Scorched Veil. Says she wants to see what we've built. She'll be impressed. She'll be proud. He looked at me directly. I'm proud. Of you. Of this. Of everything we've become. Heat rose in my chest. We'd never named what existed between us. Never formalized it. But it was there. Solid. Constant. Chosen. I love you, I said, first time speaking it aloud. I know moon speakers aren't supposed to love, aren't supposed to have attachments. But I'm not really moon speaker anymore. I'm just Lyanna. And Lyanna loves you. He smiled. That rare expression that transformed his scarred face. I love you too. Have for years. Was just waiting for you to be ready to hear it. I'm ready now. For all of it. For love without ownership. For partnership without possession. For building life together instead of surviving separately. Then that's what we'll do. Below us, the sanctuary lived. Wolves training in combat. Others studying pack law. Children playing without fear because they'd never known collar or captivity. Freedom had cost everything. Had required giving up sacred status, pack bond, safety. Had demanded I choose what mattered over what was easy. But it had given me something better than safety. It had given me purpose. The final song. The anniversary celebration was massive. Wolves from every territory came to Moonsong Refuge. Alphas bringing tribute. Omegas seeking sanctuary. Everyone wanting to witness what we'd built. Ashara arrived with Scorched Veil's delegation. Hugged me like I was still pack. You did it. Created something that shouldn't exist but does anyway. We all did it. Couldn't have started without you freeing me. And you freed yourself. That's the part that matters. She looked around. This is good work, Lyanna. Real work. I'm proud of you. Other alphas came. Even Rainya, though she came alone, without ceremony. Moon Speaker. Your sanctuary prospers. It's not my sanctuary. It belongs to everyone who chooses it. That's why it works. She hesitated. I wanted to thank you for showing me that conquest isn't the only path to unity. I'm trying to do better. It's hard, but I'm trying. That's all anyone can do. Try. Fail. Try again. As night fell, the celebration moved to the central gathering ground. 300 wolves assembled. Sanctuary residents, visiting packs, diplomatic delegations. I stood in the center, Kieran beside me. Home, at last. 10 years ago, I said, Moonsong Veil fell. My pack was destroyed. I was captured, enslaved, broken. The assembly was silent. I survived 23 years in bondage, learned to speak for others while being voiceless myself, became property, tool, useful thing without name or value. I looked at the faces watching. So many broken wolves who'd found their way here, who'd survived their own horrors. Then I was freed. Not rescued. Freed. Given choice. Given chance to become something other than what slavery made me. Ashara raised her cup in silent salute. I became Moon Speaker. Sacred. Neutral. Alone. I thought freedom meant isolation. Thought safety meant being untouchable. I took Kieran's hand. I was wrong. Freedom isn't isolation. It's connection chosen freely instead of forced through bond or bondage. Safety isn't being untouchable. It's being surrounded by people who'll fight for you because they choose to, not because they're commanded. The sanctuary wolves howled agreement. So tonight, we celebrate, not just anniversary of Moonsong Vale's fall, but transformation. We celebrate every wolf who survived bondage and chose freedom, every omega who escaped collar and rebuilt themselves, every broken thing that became whole through community instead of through isolation. I shifted. My silver wolf form glowed in moonlight. Around me, 300 wolves shifted too, every color, every size, every designation, united not by pack bond, but by choice. I howled, not pacification, not grief weapon, not any of the tactical applications I'd discovered. Just song, pure, clear, the same sound that had calmed storms when I was 12, the gift Moonsong Vale's elders had called blessed. The sanctuary howled with me, and the sound, it was beautiful, harmonious. 300 voices weaving together into something greater than any individual howl. It was pack song, but voluntary, chosen, free. It was everything I'd lost when Moonsong Vale fell, recreated in form that couldn't be destroyed. Because it wasn't built on territory, or alpha authority, or pack bonds that could be severed. It was built on choice, on freedom, on wolves deciding to be together instead of alone. The howl rose to the full moon, carrying across territories, letting every pack within 500 miles hear that there was another way, another option, another life beyond pack structure and alpha dominance. Hear that the moon speaker had returned. Not as isolated sacred figure, but as leader of free wolves, as voice that united without commanding, as proof that power used to protect instead of possess could create something lasting. When the howl faded, the night was different, softer, gentler, like the moon goddess herself had heard and approved. "Thank you," I said to everyone gathered, to Ashara, who'd freed me, to Kieran, who'd rebuilt me, to Rainia, who'd challenged me, to every wolf who'd chosen this sanctuary over safer options. Thank you for teaching me that freedom isn't something you claim, it's something you build, together, every day, through choice and commitment, and the willingness to fight for what matters. The celebration continued through the night. Music, dancing, wolves from different territories mingling peacefully because my presence made aggression impossible and unnecessary. I stood with Kieran, watching our sanctuary live. "No regrets?" he asked. "None." "You?" "Not one." We shifted to human form, stood together under the full moon, and I realized something. I'd been stolen at 12 years old, spent 23 years in bondage, built myself into Moonspeaker through pain and survival and stubborn refusal to break. And it had led here, to this moment, to this place, to this person beside me and this community around me. I wouldn't change any of it, because every moment, even the terrible ones, had forged me into someone capable of building this, of creating sanctuary, of being the voice that united instead of commanded. The water drops in cells, the howl that stopped raiders, the years of translation, the Fire Luna's liberation, the full moon shift, the Iron Queen's capture, the choice between safety and purpose. All of it mattered. All of it led here. I was Lyanna of Moonsong Vale. I was the moon speaker who chose freedom over sacred status. I was the Omega who survived bondage to build sanctuary. I was moon-blessed, powerful, free, and I was home. The end.